We're wandering the corridors of power this week on Off the Bar. Our guest at the Alexander, here in the footballing hotbed that is Weybridge, is the Deputy Chief Executive of the Professional Footballers Association, Bobby Barnes. A former player, most notably with West Ham, he's now the man who speaks out on racism, finance and education, and also has a seat on FIFPro, the world governing body of players' unions. Every player in the country, past and present, is a member of the PFA, which means we can look forward to our own Tony Gale having it out with his own union rep right here on the programme. Yes, Tony is here, along with the keeper of the cushion, Alan Bentley of Private Line 88. And talking of brotherly love, we feature John Dempsey, a former Chelsea great who now devotes his time to helping others less fortunate than himself. All of that, plus a great FA Cup weekend to look forward to. Let's hope Luton against Millwall is all about the football, as the Hatters, already the first club to knock a Premier League side out of the competition, meet mid-table championship opponents. Arsenal will be favourites against Blackburn, but all eyes, well, all of our eyes, will be on the MK Dons, managed by Anne-Marie's Carl, who march on to Wembley, we think, courtesy of victory over Barnsley. We feature Liverpool and Swansea's league encounter this week because neither of them feature in the Cup. Chelsea meet Brentford in a fourth-round replay for the right to travel up to Borough in the fifth round on Wednesday. Man City Leeds is a game that conjures up visions of yesteryear. Championship Huddersfield looking for a Premier League scalp at home to Wigan, while it ain't Ronaldo but Reading for United on Monday night. So let's start then. I'm always happy to mention the cushion because we never get to see it. So now we've seen it, we know that you're happy on your cushion, you're plumped up and pretty ready.
I am indeed.
Good, so we'll start with him. Luton Millwall.
I'm the cushionless one. Luton Millwall, I mean, everybody remember this game for the trouble that it caused years and years ago, but hopefully we don't get any reoccurrence of that, Matt. But I have to say, I have to favour Millwall because Millwall are quite a direct side. And in the FA Cup, probably on a pitch at Luton, which will cut up a bit, I fancy Millwall might be too strong physically. They've got decent strikers and they're a big back four. Danny Shittu's in that defence. I can't see Luton giving them problems at set pieces, where normally a conference side would give a league team problems. So it's Millwall for me.
The only thing I would say is Millwall, even money 11 to 10. It's not a great price. I agree with Tony. Millwall are an ordinary team. They've only won 1 in 8, and that was against Bristol City. But Luton, they're moderate as well. Forget the heroics against Norwich. Just won 2 in 8 in the conference, only 7th in the conference. So I do expect Millwall to win, but again, I think there's better bets to be had.
But someone like me, you know, who does the form religiously, thinks they've already become the first side to put a Premier League team out of the competition. Now they're facing a Championship team and only a mid-table one. They've got to have a chance.
So you'll be back in Luton for the Cup, will you, on that basis?
Well, not for this match.
No, but on that basis, you think they can beat almost any Premiership team. Whoever's Norwich have beaten, therefore Luton will beat them. Is that the way it works?
Look, you're being very aggressive. What you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to be offering tips, advice.
He's Ginger. Ginger's up.
Yes, well, I'll watch him. Red hot today. Tony, my mate.
Yes, Matthew. Yes, Matthew.
Arsenal against Blackburn. See, this is a Premier League side doing reasonably well against the Championship side not doing well. So I would go for Arsenal.
I think you're entirely right on this one, Matt. I think Arsenal have got to start targeting a little bit of silverware because it's been a long time since Arsene Wenger's put any in the cabinet, and the fans are getting irate. This is a great draw for Arsenal. There's no reason for him to rest players or anything like that. They have a full strength side. Blackburn, they've done a little bit better under Appleton since he's come in. They had a draw recently, but had a couple of wins just before that. But they're an experienced side, Blackburn. They've got a lot of Premier League players in there that with experience. But I do fancy Arsenal in this.
Yeah, so do I. The problem is they're such a short price again. So trying to find a bit of value. Mike Deans, the ref, he gives out more cards than Galey in a nightclub, this fella. He also likes to give a pen or two. It's 12 to 5 that a pen will be scored in this game. I also like Giroud, first goal scorer. I think he's finding his feet at the top level. He's 4 to 1. So a bit of value. Arsenal, huge odds on. But I think a bit of value, Giroud or a penalty.
All right, Attila the cushion. MK Dons against Barnsley. You cannot go against the MK Dons on account of who's in this pub.
Well, I'm going to have to, I'm afraid. I mean, the point being that Barnsley have won 4 out of 5 in the last few weeks with a new manager. Quite why, no one knows. MK Dons have been on the crest of a slump. 1 in 8 they've won, and that was against a poor team. 0-0 against Doncaster was an improvement at the start of the week. But again, I think I'm going to fancy Barnsley, and I think there could be a bit of a price at 21 to 10 Barnsley.
strange how the form sort of strange. That's a bit of a Dutch one there. How the form has sort of upturned for Barnsley because okay, they've had the change of manager, but it's the assistant manager who took over from the manager. Yet no real signings coming in. Yet the form's turned round. But I'm going to have to sit on the cushion on this one. I'm going to go for a draw, and I can't anyway. Anne-Marie's over there, so I can't tip her old man to lose, can I?
No, and I'm tipping them to win, and I know about form, as we've already established. Oldham against Everton.
So Oldham beat Liverpool, so therefore they beat Everton, yes?
That's every chance.
No, that won't happen either. Everton all day long in this one. Again, trying to find a bit of value is difficult. I know Everton have struggled to keep clean sheets away, but Oldham are poor at home. Everton to win, so I'm going to go Everton to win 2-0, as it were, i.e. Oldham not to score. That's 11-8.
Not a bad bet, because I think Liverpool, if anything, got bullied. But if you look at the Everton back four, they won't get bullied by just a normal centre forward in lower league football. Distan, I think, got injured. He may be not turning out, but you know, the likes of Jagielka and Heitinga, they're not going to get bullied as Liverpool got bullied. I mean, Liverpool were really pussycats in that game. I'm sorry, Alan.
Shocking.
So I'm going to go for Everton, who will do enough. It won't be a pretty game this one, but they'll do enough.
Thanks, chaps. Time now, though, to hear from a proper statesman, no offence, not really, a real diplomat of the game. Bobby Barnes of the PFA is next. In these days of multi-millionaire footballers, why do footballers need a union? And why do all of them pay their subs to the PFA? Well, here to answer that question and a few others is the Deputy Chief Executive of the PFA, Bobby Barnes. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you, Matt. It's an interesting question, but I think it's important to bear in mind that whether you're a top player playing in the Premier League or a player playing in the lower levels at League One, League Two, you still have the same issues as any other worker. You might have a fallout with your employer, you might have a disciplinary issue, you might have contractual issues that need to be resolved. That's why the union plays an important part, whether, as you said, you're right at the top of the game or a journeyman player working his way through the leagues.
I would have thought, though, that if you're at the top of the game, you should maybe give a little bit more. Am I right in thinking that everybody gives the same?
Well, yeah, I think that's probably the strength of the union. It's a real example of solidarity because the fact remains that the top players and all players pay exactly the same union subscription because the majority of our funding comes via the television rights that we've actually acquired that were actually ceded to us by the players when football became regularly produced on the television in the early 60s. And I think it would be fair to say that the vast majority of television coverage is based at the top end, so effectively those top players have given up their rights for the benefit of players throughout the game. So it's a real example of the strong helping the weak.
So do you get the calls from places like Weybridge and the mansions and the £1 million houses, whatever, but from top players saying, I need help?
Absolutely. In actual fact, I was in Paris last week, and I was actually just so happened I was speaking to a player who plays in the Premier League but happens to be based in Paris, and he had an issue that it just so happened, it's fortunate that I happened to be in Paris, and he arranged that he could have a chat with me about an issue that he had at that particular time. And there's always an area where players will come to us.
Let's take a hypothetical footballer. He's tall, he used to play in defence, he's chronically overweight. He makes a living nowadays by being let's be honest, a rather poor pundit. How can you help someone like that?
Well, I would like to think that a former player would always be able to knock on our door, because it's not just on the pastoral side of things, there are commercial opportunities as well. We have a number of business partnerships, for example, whether it be our travel clubs or our deals with motor manufacturers, for example. So even if you're not in need from the services for the PFA, there are still advantages for having been a player in that you can get all sorts of benefits and preferential deals through our business partners as well. So our overweight friend could certainly take advantage of that should he want to do so.
Well, it's only hypothetical. Let's narrow it down. But let's say he's called Tony Gale, and when you played with him, he probably would have been the boss and always taken them bigger. But now he's totally stunned at what you've done in life.
Well, I think we all are actually. It's ironic that when you actually go back into the dressing room arena, even when we meet the guys now, I think there's always a hierarchy, and I'm now 50 years of age, but Galey would probably consider me still one of the youngsters, and that's the case. I think whatever you do, I think we had a very strong dressing room at West Ham, and we very much had senior players, the youngsters, if you like, people like myself and Paul Allen, and that pecking order actually is still there. It doesn't, whatever I do now and whatever people might perceive as, the importance of the role I do now. I'll give you an example. We played a game for the Boys of '86 team a few years ago, and Billy Bonds was playing, and I remember, in my usual way, sauntering back into defence, and Bill screamed out at me, "Digger, get yourself back." And I thought, well, of course, Bill, never mind about the fact we haven't played for probably 25, 30 years. He was still the captain and he was still the boss.
Just one serious point, because I've ignored the fact that one of the things you speak out about is racism, and that spectre raises its head time and time again. And there is the prospect now of players walking off. It's happened already in Italy. I mean, where do you stand on that one?
Well, I think the Italian thing was a bit of a watershed in the sense that I think it got it right back on the agenda, which was important. My personal view is that there is a protocol agreed in place with UEFA, and there should be no need for players to actually take it upon themselves to make that decision. There's a clear directive that if the referee or the safety officer at the match sees this sort of chanting, they have the authority to actually make announcements over the loudspeakers to threaten that if this doesn't desist, then the game will be stopped and the players will be taken off for a period of time until such time as it's resolved. What you can't have is a situation where players are having to take that on themselves, because ultimately your football pitch is their place of work. And if I was to come into your place of work and abuse you, though I probably have done on one or two occasions, but that is their place of work, and players have the right to be able to conduct their business and carry out their job without being abused just because people feel, well, I've paid my money, I'm entitled to come in.
Bobby, it's been great to have a chat to you, and thanks very much for all the work you do with cases like Tony.
Thank you very much.
He needs you and he appreciates it.
Cheers, Matt.
All right, plenty more to come in part two, including John Dempsey, a former Chelsea great who, like Bobby, is doing his bit for others in our game.
Welcome back to this week's Off the Bar and this week's Tipping Table. So last week, guys, Tony and Alan, you got 2 out of 3, and Ozzy Ardiles, he got 2 out of 3 as well. So you all made some money, so well done for that. This week, Alan, what are your top 3 predictions?
Man U against Reading. I know Man U will rest a few heroics midweek over in Madrid. I think they'll be too strong for Reading, but I think Reading will score. So Man U to win, both to score. Oldham against Everton. Oldham, of course, beat Liverpool and MK Dons in recent weeks. I think though Everton will win, and I think they'll win without Oldham scoring. So Everton to win to 0 is 11-8. And the shock of the round, Huddersfield in a false position down in the Championship, beat Leicester in the last round. I think they'll beat Wigan. Wigan, very poor. Huddersfield 11-4. Pays 24-1, I think.
Okay, cool. Tony?
Yeah, my treble pays 25-1, so we're a bit similar. I've gone for the same one with Alan though. Huddersfield home to Wigan, that's 11-4. Millwall even money away to Luton. I think that's a good bet. Be far too strong, physical team Millwall, and Luton trying to overpower teams because they're a conference side against the league side. They won't have it, Millwall, so that's a away win. And the last one, you're going to be delighted. I'm going to go for an MK Dons draw with Barnsley. So you've got a nice night out in the replay in Barnsley.
No, we want to
Try and find an hotel up there.
No, we're going to win this weekend. Okay, thanks, guys. Over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Now it's time for a lovely little film, really, featuring John Dempsey, a great of the Chelsea side of the late 60s and early 70s, who, when he hung his boots up, devoted his life to helping other people. Simple as that, really. John Dempsey was one of the unsung heroes of a Chelsea side that were known as the Kings of the King's Road 40 years ago. That team won the FA Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup in successive years and might have done even better.
We had a really, really good team, and we all bonded well together. Everyone worked together, and it was a close unit really. And I was pleased to be part of that team at the time.
Since then, Dempsey has found a new vocation to replace professional football. He works full-time with the disabled. He may not be on a football pay packet, but he reckons his rewards now are even greater.
I played obviously 20 years in football, etc. And the 20 years I work with people learning disabilities now, every day that I work, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I get a lot out of it. And seeing people that have less fortunate and able-bodied people put a smile on their face every day, and if they're doing sport, to see them not so much win but taking part and seeing their smile on their face, it brings something to me, the fact that not many people enjoy what they do, whereas I enjoy what I do, and I look forward to going into work every day.
Some things never change. Dempsey offers no excuses when it comes to teaching his students about which colour is still the colour.
Blue is the colour, purple is the guide, we're all together, winning is our
So cheer us on through the Saturday rain, 'cause Chelsea's our name.
John Dempsey, what a lovely man. I don't know if too many ex-players are doing that sort of thing.
No, it's great to see, and also, sadly, I know every word of that song, Blue is the Colour, because I was a Chelsea fan as a kid, Matt, and he was one of my heroes. Just talking to Al and said how he scored one of the goals in the European Cup Winners' Cup final against Real Madrid. Came out on the volley and he smashed it in. He was famous because he wore the ankle-length boots, great big boots. They were like rugby boots, and he played alongside some good centre halves there. David Webb, Ronnie Harris, Marvin Hinton. Don't know if you remember them, Al.
Yeah.
But he was a good player, John Dempsey, for both Fulham and Chelsea.
My grandfather told me all about them. Let's move on to Chelsea and Brentford. Now, how do you think Chelsea will get on, and what's the fourth round game?
I think Chelsea will win, but again, they're very short. Brentford in recent weeks have sort of slumped somewhat. 2 out of 8 they've won. Drawn 7 away from home, and they haven't been scoring too many either. I think Chelsea will win, but trying to find that value. The one for me, arguably, Chelsea half-time, full-time. They score a big percentage of their goals in the first half. I'm going to go half-time, full-time Chelsea.
Yeah, that's a good bet. I obviously fancy Chelsea to win, but I think Brentford have already had their win, so to speak, and their win full because of drawing the first game. That's exactly the result they would have wanted, because they're spending a lot of money, especially in their youth academy, Juve Rosler, and probably going to pay for that academy for a season, Matt, but they're not going to win this one. Chelsea will win it.
Man City Leeds, my personal form guide tells me who might win this one, but where's the value?
Well, the value, I mean, Man City will win. It's as simple as that. Here's another manager, a bit like Wenger. I think Mancini needs to win this, needs to win the Cup. I think it'll be a very strong team. Leeds, again, are poor. They haven't kept a clean sheet away from home, and City do score a few goals at home. I think City all day long. The value, tough to find, though.
Well, like Arsenal, I think Man City have also got to put silverware in the cabinet, Matt. That's why I think Man City will win this game, but problems in the camp. Tevez gone away for family reasons. Balotelli transferred. That just leaves the 2 up top now, Dzeko and Aguero. I'm not a Dzeko fan. I think he's got quite a few goals this season, many a tap-in, but he doesn't contribute enough in the game for me, and Tevez and Aguero was always the choice. I think there's more problems than meets the eye at City. I don't think Mancini's managing it quite right, and there seems to be arguments with every one of the players. I can't see Leeds getting anything here, though. It has to be a City win, but it's a turmoil place at the moment.
Yeah, I can just tell you there was a flood of money on Mancini being the next manager to go in the last couple of days as well.
But the special one's not quite ready, is he?
No, he isn't, but we'll talk about the Champions League in a moment or two. Perhaps in a couple of weeks he might be.
All right, far removed from the Champions League. Huddersfield,
Yes.
home to Wigan. How do you see that one going?
Well, Huddersfield, a great win in midweek. The Terriers get one over on the Foxes, given the recent news. It was nice to see, wasn't it? But I think Huddersfield could be the shock in this one. I like Huddersfield. I think they're in a false league position. I think they've got some decent players, the likes of Vaughan, Beckford, Scannell, I think are decent players. Don't like Wigan, as we discussed last week, and having a pop at Roberto Mancini. I think Huddersfield will win. That's my shock of the round.
That is my shock of the round as well. I'm going with him. And Beckford's been a hero in the cup competition. You can remember him scoring the winning goal at Old Trafford for Leeds. So he may do it again. And Wigan, I think, will rest players. That's the key to this one, Al, because you have to always look at the team sheets before you have the bets in the FA Cup. We're going in a little bit blind with this, but I think Martinez will rest players because they have to stay in the Premier League. The riches of £70 million next season makes such a difference for a club like Wigan, in particular. I think Huddersfield will beat them.
Manchester United, having generally perceived to have acquitted themselves very well in the Bernabeu, or however you pronounce it. Reading can't be much of an opposition, surely.
Well, again, we've just said about Wigan resting players. I think Reading will do the same in this one. We saw it in the last couple of rounds. Yes, they score goals. We did see that astonishing game between the two in the league. And Man United, it doesn't seem to matter who they put out. Yes, they'll rest a few, but I think they'll be too strong for Wigan. The bet I'm going to have, we keep doing this, I usually do one a week. Man United to win, both teams to score, pays 7-4.
Yep, it's a good bet. I fancy Man United to win. There's no value in just doing it at 9-2 on, but he'll make so many changes for this one. I think he'll make as many as 8 changes for this game. And I was up there last week to do the Man United-Everton game. Funnily enough, they're probably playing on one of the worst pitches in the Premier League. It's cutting up terrible. It's slowing their play down. That will give Reading a little bit of a chance, but United have got to have too much. Likes of Hernandez will be playing. Smalling to get a run out. There's quite a few that's going to come into the team that will sort of think that Reading have got a chance, but it has to be a United win.
Talking of the Champions League and next season's Champions League places, how do you see it going?
Well, obviously, a couple of the places are booked, I think, you know, with Man United and Man City. Chelsea next favourites, then it's Tottenham and then it's Arsenal. I mean, to me, it does rest between those five. I can't see Everton as quite having enough. Liverpool nowhere near, and still a ludicrously short price to get into the top four, but not a cat in hell's chance. It's between those that I mentioned, the five.
Yeah, I think it's between Tottenham and Arsenal for the fourth spot. I think it's going to be Spurs. I was there last week. Gareth Bale, absolutely enormous. I've never seen anybody run like him since Cristiano Ronaldo was here over in England, and to appreciate his power and his pace, you have to see him live. I don't think the TV gives it enough justice. The way he just drifts past players, and the way he went past Colaccini on the halfway line, and just the whole stadium rose to him afterwards.
He used to look slow on the telly, Tom.
Well, yeah, it did slow me down a little bit. It tends to put a little bit of weight on you as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it depends how many cameras they
But
got.
the whole stadium was just, you know, Bale, all the way around. I just think he's a wonderful talent, and he'll take Spurs to those Champions League places.
I haven't got long to talk about the one league game, Liverpool against Swansea. If I was cruel, I would mention the fact that you actually thought this one would go to a replay.
Sorry.
I was up early this morning, yeah. Thanks very much. A non-footballing person having a pop at me, I can't believe it. No, I'd have to say, I fancy a draw here. I think Swansea could get a draw at Liverpool because they're in such a state at the moment. I've never seen so many players that were playing out of form.
Yeah.
After a week where they were so brilliant against Man City. I was up there against Man City, completely outplayed Man City. You thought the West Brom game was a foregone conclusion.
And a long away trip to Zenit as well, you know, midweek.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to count against them. Swansea have drawn 10 this season. They beat Liverpool in the League Cup, and deservedly so. In the Swansea games away from home, there have only been 22 goals, so they will keep it tight. And again, I agree with Tony, perhaps a draw and a replay.
And is the Zenit game a league game or a cup game?
No.
Right, now we've established that there will be a replay because, as you say, it will be a draw. So we can move on to the Deputy Chief Executive of the PFA. He can't comment on matters of betting or gambling or tipstering, but he can head the ball. That's why he's outside practicing. Can't wait for this bit.